If you go onto the Fair Work website, you'll see more and more and more. So they're obviously upping their game. Couple examples. So a cafe chain, they had $1.2 million penalty. Uh, and that was for poor record keeping of timesheets. So obviously there's a lot of back pay there. The directors could have had a penalty on that as well. A restaurant, they paid $180,000 penalties for false record keeping. So that's falsifying record keeping.
Jeez.
Brisbane Construction Company, they had $50,000, and the company had another $250,000 for not having any records at all. A Melbourne Hospitality Group, $40,000, incomplete or inaccurate records. So this is the things that they're looking for. The Fair Work will be asking, they'll be looking. As I go back to my recommendations, you got to record everything. So if you're not sure, just record everything.
1.2 million for a cafe. That's expensive coffee.
Smarter times, stronger teams. Welcome to the BundyPlus Podcast.
Welcome back to the BundyPlus Podcast. And today, once again, I have Levon. Welcome, Levon.
Thanks, Steve. What episode number are we up to, actually? This is, I think, number
I don't know.
7?
7. It's just a blur. They're all so good.
Yeah.
So much value, right? In this episode, I want to touch a bit more on the compliance side and Fair Work and what their rules are around with record keeping, because I get the really nasty feeling that a lot of businesses aren't fully aware of what their requirements are. So yeah, let's just touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess it's good to start off with, what record keeping is all about or why it's really important and more than just kind of paperwork or admin. So what would you say or what's really the real key or importance of record keeping?
Yeah. But I must remember that it was record everything was the number one. It was training and technology. So using technology. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. All right. So I think a good place to start is, the importance of record keeping and why it's so important or what, can happen if you don't have any good record keeping practices in place. So, what would happen if an employer can't show their records or why is it, more than just kind of paperwork and admin?
Wow. So the Fair Work have some pretty blunt hammers that they can use to give some pretty hefty penalties. So a lot of companies don't understand they need to keep records for 7 years, and some of those records won't go onto every single record, but it's typical for the teenage side is when they start, when they finish, when their break times are, any overtime hours that they did, any leave that they had. And all of these need to be recorded, shown to an auditor. So backfilling timesheets isn't acceptable. And for some businesses, they don't even record times. So if there was a workplace dispute where someone said, I wasn't paid for overtime, and the auditor says, well, can you show me the records? And there's nothing, then the companies and directors are looking at a fair penalty.
Okay, well, yeah, you've touched on, I think, most of there in terms of what needs to be recorded. Are there any other kind of like specifics or, what some of these rules are with Fair Work in terms of the data required? You touched on, obviously, the time and attendance, hours, overtime, that sort of thing.
Well, it is mainly that. It's actually recording. It's actually showing what are the records, the start and finish times. I mean, I won't go into the payroll side because obviously Bundy doesn't specialize in the actual paying of employees, but that's also what ordinary rates that they pay, what overtime rates, what Fair Work classifications are under. So what EBAs, are they being paid the appropriate amount for the duties that they're doing? They'll also look at any backdated entries. They'll look at any falsified documents. All of that comes under the evidence to actually prove that they're doing the right thing via the employee.
Yeah. I think Super as well is another big one. I'm just thinking back to a story I had with a friend back when I was around Christmas time, and they weren't getting paid Super, and they found out like when they were terminated or when they left the company, and so they're now going through this whole process of dealing with Fair Work. So just things like that, being aware, what your leave balances are, even just getting a payslip. Do you even get a payslip?
Yeah. Super's one of those funny ones where employees don't even, like a lot of employees, most employees I would say don't even know what their super balance is. They don't even know what the rate the business owner pays, how often it goes in.
Yeah,
And at the middle of this year, the Payday Super regulations come in where every pay run you will get paid your super.
Right.
So it's basically keeping up to track. So the ATO actually, doing a fair bit on the infrastructure side to keeping up with that regulation side, and then on the auditing side. Whereas, as you've mentioned, the ATO won't pick up that prior that you weren't getting paid your super, and the employees
Yes.
haven't checked. It's just set and forget. They don't manage their super, that well. So that's all definitely getting cleaned up. And I'm pretty confident too that their record keeping will go along exactly the same sort of mantra, that they'll be looking at it more closely. With the advances in AI, they'll be able to sort of see trends more and more, or find the anomalies. So that's definitely coming.
Yep. Also with like the STP, or what's it called? Single touch payroll.
Yep.
Yeah. All that kind of stuff. All right. Well, in terms of, I guess, the compliance pitfalls, and I think we've touched on this a little bit already, but what's the biggest mistake you see employers making that kind of gets them in hot water with Fair Work?
Well, not so much employees, employers. They're the
Employ-
ones that pay
Yeah.
the penalties. Yeah, they're the ones, whether it's either the directors that will be fined directly. But if I was to give any advice to business owners, I'd break it down to three things. Use the technology to capture employees' times. Make it easy for employees to actually record their times. Make it a habit for them. Make it easy. If they walk into the lunchroom, they clock in on the terminal, or they're using a mobile app, they just clock in. It becomes a habit. The second thing is to bring your staff and your team leaders along the journey. Make sure that they're fully trained why you're doing it. This is why. It's not because we don't trust you. It's because we're trying to get our compliance in line. So help us help you. So then everyone is on the same page. And for me, the number one thing is record everything. Just record everything, because you don't know when you're going to be audited. You don't know when a staff member is going to get disgruntled and put in a claim. And if you're not recording everything, then you're really leaving your bank account open to be fined down the track. Bearing in mind too that employees can get back pay up to 6 years, I believe. So if you haven't got records back that far, or if you do and there's a dispute and you've done by genuine mistake, I haven't paid them this rate, I didn't realize, or that wasn't communicated through HR that they're on now this award. It's the fair thing to do, right? So just cover yourself, record everything.
Yeah. Good systems.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so obviously now we know the importance of record keeping and to be in line with Fair Work. And obviously, if you don't have good systems or poor record keeping, how can that cost you? Or what are some of these examples of penalties that we're seeing for not being compliant with Fair Work?
If you go onto the Fair Work website, you'll see more and more. So they're obviously upping their game. Couple of examples. So a cafe chain, they had $1.2 million penalty. And that was for poor record keeping of timesheets. So obviously there's a lot of back pay there. The directors could have had a penalty on that as well. A restaurant, they paid $180,000 penalties for false record keeping. So that's falsifying record keeping. Brisbane Construction Company, they had $50,000, and the company had another $250,000 for not having any records at all. A Melbourne Hospitality Group, $40,000 incomplete or inaccurate records. So this is the things that they're looking for. The Fair Work will be asking, they'll be looking. As I go back to my recommendations, you got to record everything. So if you're not sure, just record everything.
1.2 million for a cafe. That's expensive coffee.
That's expensive coffee. Yeah, exactly. There was another one just recently. It was a university, and it was along the similar lines. It was like $100,000. They're not going easy, that's for sure. It might be a case of it's not, if it's when you get audited. So be ready.
Yeah. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, as they say.
Yeah. So Levon, you're on the front line of sales, so to speak. So how can BundyPlus help, the people that are listening to help get their record keeping into shape?
Yeah, sure. So again, this all comes down to having better systems in place, and with BundyPlus, you can really leverage that. For example, having real-time clocking data, whether it's from time clock terminals or from remote staff, where you can kind of trust and ensure that what you're looking at is live and in real time. Automated work rules for time interpreting, so being able to factor in all of those awards, which, as we have discussed, is a big part of compliance. Audit trails, being able to see, who's made what changes in the system, historical data, especially when you're dealing with a large company with different levels and super micromanagement. And, all it takes, if there's one person who's fudging data or is being buddy with an employee, at least you have that audit trail to know who's made what changes in terms of being backup and just retaining your records. I mean, especially now that we're cloud hosted, you don't have to worry about, these excessively large database files on your computers and storage that are taking up data. And again, just having the trust that you've got that historical data available. And as we mentioned, it needs to be up to 6 or 7 years to be in compliance with Fair Work. And then the integrations with Payroll.
Of
So
course, yeah.
obviously being able to support many different payroll platforms, and being able to synchronize leave balances and just have better integrations with the different payroll systems. I'd say
I get
those
the
are some of
feeling
the
too.
key features.
I get the feeling too that some people in payroll just don't understand the whole TNA side. It's like one of these mystery boxes where that sounds way too hard. How do I connect that to this? And
Mm,
obviously this is our jam, and like I'll probably record something separately, but it literally is as easy as adding another computer. Or like if you were to have a new, a staff member that needs a new laptop, it's easy. Just give them a new laptop, connect it up to the Wi-Fi, they go in, like they're up and running within, minutes. Time clock terminal is no different, right?
exactly.
They're just not used to that they just don't understand it. They haven't been in that lane. So the actual record keeping side that BundyPlus provides is actually really easy. It's not a technical, mastery. It's not. It's just having those systems in place, the technology in place that records the times as easy as you can. And I think BundyPlus does it really well. Which is
Yeah.
probably why we a fair proportion of our sales is existing customers just adding more and more devices, because it's literally like adding in another PC to your network. It's up and running within minutes, and now you're capturing time from Queensland as well as New South Wales, connected real time.
Yeah.
It's really that easy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's funny you say that, because I find myself saying that all the time to clients. Like, what I mean, if you can add another printer or computer to your network, you can easily add another time clock or a time clock to your
Yeah.
system. It's pretty much plug and play in that sense.
Yeah. It's come a long way from wiring separate cables that had no idea what they
Yeah.
were. So what would be your key takeaways from today?
Key takeaways. So I'd say start with solid processes or systems. I think this has been a recurring theme we've been chatting about even just yesterday. So obviously accurate record keeping, whether that's having the right hardware in place or mobile app solutions to account for that. Reviewing your records regularly. This should just be something you're doing anyway. You should be reviewing timesheets to make sure that the data is accurate. Yeah, just knowing what needs to be retained, just being privy to the Fair Work requirements that we've kind of touched on, having your records there for 6 or 7 years, making sure your employees are getting pay slips, they're aware of their leave balances, getting paid super, all that kind of stuff. And just, again, in line with the systems, just, leverage it to be as efficient as possible, and, use the tech to your advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Because certainly one audit can be very, very expensive. And there's probably some easy tests you can do yourself. It's just, okay, can you look up a record or show me your timesheet from 6 years ago? If you can't get your hands on it relatively easy, you've got some work to do in your systems and processes. But yeah, stay compliant. So cool. All right. Thank you once again, Levon. I'm sure we'll share some links in the show notes below. There's a couple of good blogs and Fair Work, some of the horror stories, but we'll see you again in the next one.
That's it.
Cool.
Stay compliant. See you
Stay
there.
compliant. All right. Catch up. Bye.
Catch you, Steve.
Smarter time.